Hello friend, welcome back to my kitchen. My name is Becky if you're new, and this is Monday, January 1st, the first week of the Pantry Challenge, where I am not going to the grocery store other than giving myself a $10 a week budget for fresh fruit. I do not think I'm going to need that budget, but it felt less stressful going into this Pantry Challenge with that as an option. And then every Friday, I will get a delivery of fresh raw milk from a local dairy. So to prepare for this first week, I actually wrote a menu, which I normally don't do. And the first thing for breakfast, we're going to have waffles. I have cooked bacon and sausage in the freezer so I can warm that up, or I can cook eggs to go along with it. Tonight's dinner, we are going to have couscous salad with roasted carrots, other fresh veggies that I still have in my refrigerator that need to be used up, and we're going to make a tahini dressing, pickled onions, and Moroccan meatballs. We are also going to have focaccia pizza, so I pulled out some pizza sauce, and then we are going to have nachos made out of potatoes. And so I also pulled out some salsa from the freezer that we're going to have when we have nachos. So on this Monday, it was a very relaxing first day of the year. I mostly was just kind of getting my house ready after having a party. I did a little bit of laundry, I got a lot of computer work done, and it was a very relaxing day. And when it came to cooking dinner, I had more time and energy and mental capacity on this day to not only prep tonight's dinner, but we're going to get a lot of tomorrow's dinner prepped. I have a huge project that I want to do tomorrow. And so I knew that if I could get the majority of tomorrow's dinner done, then it would be way less stressful on the day that I need to cook dinner for tomorrow. So the first thing we're going to do for tonight's dinner is actually peel a big handful of carrots from the garden. One thing we are going to really focus on during this pantry challenge are carrots and potatoes, because these are fresh from the garden and they need to be used. And this is one thing that this pantry challenge is encouraging me to do, is to use up the fresh things from the garden so they don't go bad. I like potatoes. Josh really likes potatoes, but potatoes are not my favorite starch. I would prefer probably rice or some other type of starch in a dinner. And so when it comes to using up what I have grown and put up, this pantry challenge is going to encourage me and remind me that instead of pulling out rice, I should pull out potatoes and use those first, because rice can sit in my pantry and not go bad, but potatoes can go bad. So I am getting these carrots chopped up for the dinner tonight. I'm going to roast these. My sister-in-law, when we had a party probably a year ago or so, she made this roasted cauliflower and carrot salad with a tahini dressing, and it was delicious. I don't have cauliflower. Well, you'll see. I don't have cauliflower in my refrigerator. So we're going to just do carrots and some other veggies that I have in the refrigerator, make the tahini dressing, and add couscous, and it's going to be absolutely delicious. The potatoes are for tomorrow's dinner. So while I was peeling and getting my colander messy and had my knife messy and had my cutting board messy, I figured I might as well get tomorrow's potatoes ready so that I can just roast those up for the potato nachos. So while I have the grill going, because we're also going to grill the Moroccan meatballs, I thawed out some honey chipotle chicken, and we're going to grill the meat for tomorrow's dinner as well. So I tried to think, what can I do that's the same activity for tonight and for tomorrow's dinner, so that tomorrow when I do my big project, I don't have to really worry about messing up the kitchen and taking time in the kitchen. I can just pull it together in minutes. And I'm going to show you exactly how I'm going to do that. So the carrots for the roasted salad, it is going to be a cold salad, but I want the sweetness to come out of the carrots in the roasting process, and I don't want them to be so crunchy that they're raw. And so we're not going to cook them till they're soft and mushy in the oven. So I preheated the oven to 425 degrees. We're going to add some oil, salt, and pepper and garlic. We're going to get these carrots in the oven, and we're going to roast them at a really, really high heat so we can get a nice char on them, but they're still going to have some crunch to them. So now that we've got the carrots in the oven, the potatoes washed, we are going to focus on getting our dressing made for our salad, and we're going to slice up the potatoes for tomorrow's dinner. So I'm pulling out a couple bowls. In all transparency, on this day, my mic was not working. And so just on this day, it doesn't work. It works throughout the rest of the video, but I just wanted to let you know that the mic was having some technical difficulties on this day. So what I'm going to do for the potato nachos is I'm going to slice these potatoes very thinly, because I do like when I make these potato nachos for them to get crunchy on the outside. And I'm going to put them in water because we're not going to cook these because we're not going to cook these potatoes until tomorrow. If I put these sliced potatoes in the refrigerator without putting them in water first, they would turn brown. They would oxidize, just like an apple. If you slice it, it's going to turn brown. Potatoes will do the same thing. But if you put them in water, you can prep potatoes a couple days in advance and have yourself a convenient item when you go to cook. So a lot of times when I'm just cooking in my kitchen, I'm always trying to think, not always, but if I'm intentional, I try to think, what can I do to save my future self some time? And the way I'm saving myself time is I've dirtied this cutting board one time, and I've gotten tonight's dinner prepped, and I've gotten tomorrow's dinner prepped. And I've dirtied the knife one time, and the peeler, my colander, and all that. So that's one thing, that just to try to save time in the kitchen. I love spending time in the kitchen, but sometimes I don't want to spend a ton of time in the kitchen. I do try to be efficient when possible. So we have the potatoes prepped for tomorrow's dinner. So now I'm going to focus on making the tahini dressing. I am not following a recipe. When my sister-in-law made this for the party, I asked her for a recipe, and she cooks a lot like I do when she's just in her kitchen regularly, and she just measures with her heart. And so she just gave me a list of ingredients, and then I'm going to just make this up, taste it, adjust the seasonings as needed. The reason I wanted to make this dinner tonight is because this tahini needed to be used up. Tahini is sesame paste or sesame butter. If you think of like peanut butter is ground up peanuts, tahini is ground up sesame seeds, and it needed to be used up. And I also needed to use the couscous. And so I figured this all would go really, really well together. So we have tahini, cumin, smoked paprika, garlic powder, onion powder, lemon juice, salt and pepper, sriracha sauce, and there was one more, a little bit of water, and soy sauce. I mixed all these together, and honey, and then I tasted it, and I realized it needed a little bit of adjusting. It was good, but not perfect. It needed a little bit more lemon juice and brightness. Tahini is I don't want to say bitter, but it needs something to balance that. So to me, I really like lemon juice with it, and I really like a little bit of honey, because that helps kind of cut the richness that tahini can have. Now, I thought I made a little bit too much dressing, so I'm going to put some in this bowl, and we'll save that, and if we need to use it, we can. And if I don't end up using all the dressing for tonight's dinner, I will probably end up making a marinade with it a little later on in the month. It'll be fine sitting in the refrigerator for a week or so. So here we've got some red onions, and I'm going to use some of these red onions for the salad. I put these red onions on top of the dressing, and I kind of wanted to do a very quick pickle on them. So I went ahead and took the rest of my lemon, and I squeezed that on the top. And then I'm going to take some salt and pepper, and I'm going to put some salt and pepper on the top of these onions, and I'm just going to let those actually sit and kind of marinate in the lemon juice just a little bit to help kind of cut some of that bite that raw onions can have. I had a jalapeno in my refrigerator, and I had some cilantro in my refrigerator as well, and I thought that these would go really, really well in this salad. And I'm not going to cook the onions or the jalapenos for this salad. I'm just going to leave these raw. So once I got these chopped up, I'm going to put those into the bowl with what is going to be the salad. I reserved some of the cilantro because we're going to make the Moroccan meatballs, and so I want to use some of that cilantro for the Moroccan meatballs. And then while my cutting board and my knife was dirty and I was already slicing and in the kitchen, I figured pickled onions would go really, really well with our nachos for tomorrow. And so I'm going to get those sliced up, and we're going to pickle some onions. So this is what I'm looking for when it comes to the carrots. I want them to have some good color, but I still want them to be crunchy. So for the pickled onions for tomorrow's dinner, I'm going to add about a 1-to-1 ratio of red wine vinegar to water. So I'm just going to get my red wine vinegar in here with my onions, about a tablespoon of sugar, and probably about 1.5 teaspoons of salt. I'm going to fill that with water. I'm going to put that in the fridge, and that is going to be some pickled onions. I needed some fresh parsley for the Moroccan meatballs, and so I came out into the garden. I haven't been into the garden in a couple weeks, and it was really exciting to come out here and see what was doing well. So the first thing I did was picked the parsley for dinner, and then back in, I think it was probably August, I planted this bed out as a fall planting, and come look and see what I am shocked to find out here. I knew I had cauliflower, but I did not know how beautiful this cauliflower is. So we could have made, I mean, they're little heads, but they look beautiful. They're prettier than the cauliflower I actually grew last spring. We could have come and harvested a few of these and made a cauliflower carrot salad, but I didn't know it was out here. We've got a ton of fresh lettuce. These are more cauliflower plants. And then the cilantro out here is looking a little bit sad. It doesn't look horrible, but we have had a few snows and it does look like I need to come out here and weed a little bit. But I was just so incredibly happy to see what was out there because it has been a long time since I've been out there. So now that we've got our things prepped for tomorrow's dinner, our carrots are done, we've got our dressing made, I'm gonna go ahead and start the couscous. So this couscous has been sitting in my pantry. The bag was half open and I wanted to just go ahead and use it. I'm cooking it just according to the directions on the back of the package, and I guess I'm not totally cooking it according to the directions. The directions had about 15 spices. The only spices I put in it were some garlic infused oil, garlic, and some salt and pepper, and chicken broth. And then that was it. Once the broth comes to a boil, you put your couscous in, you turn the stove off, you cover it for about 5 minutes, and then it's done. It's one of the easiest things to cook. Couscous is a pasta, but it's a really, really small pasta that's kind of like a rice. I was looking in my refrigerator and I had these sugar snap peas that I had bought, and they needed to be used up as well. And I thought the fresh crunch of a sugar snap pea and that sweetness that it brings would be really good in this salad as well. This is one of those kind of salads that can hold up in the refrigerator for a couple days. And I am weird and I like eating salad for breakfast. So this is obviously way more than Josh and I can eat for dinner. And I will probably have this for breakfast for the next few days. And I will totally enjoy it. I love salads like this where you can put them in the refrigerator and they're not going to get soggy on you like a green leafy salad does. So now that we've got that, we're going to move our attention to our Moroccan meatballs. I have 1 pound of thawed ground beef in here. I'm going to add some Korean red pepper flakes. I've got my cilantro and parsley. I have cumin, coriander, ginger, garlic powder, onion powder, salt and pepper in here. And then we're going to mix all of this together and we're going to form these into a patty. These are so delicious. These make a really, really good freezer meal. I have many, many times made, 2 pounds of this or 3 pounds of this at a time, cooked up what we wanted for that night's dinner, and then froze the rest. But on this night, I just made 1 pound and it was the perfect amount for us to have dinner and then to have some lunches. So the one thing when you see me cook throughout this week, you're going to notice that I generally, or for the next month, I should say, I generally only cook probably about 3 times a week or maybe 4 times a week because I cook enough that we have prepped food for lunches and sometimes even for dinner. And so I will cook fresh meals like this where I get inspired and I want to get in the kitchen and I want to make everything that night. But then throughout this month, you're going to see how I'm going to also incorporate freezer meals into my life, depending on what, is going on and if I need to rely on something where I don't have the time to get into the kitchen and cook. So here we've got the grill preheated and I did clean the grates. We're going to get these Moroccan meatballs on the grill, and then we're also going to cook, this was a freezer meal. These were honey chipotle chicken breasts that I cut really thinly, and I'm going to get those on the grill and cooking for tomorrow's dinner. I already had the grill going. I need the chicken for tomorrow's dinner. I'm not going to want to turn the grill on again tomorrow after my big project, and so I figured it was the perfect time to go ahead and grill tomorrow's dinner while I have the grill on. So while that was grilling, I went inside and I cleaned the kitchen. anytime I cook, I do kind of create a mess. And so I had already prepared everything else. I had the time to clean the kitchen while the chicken was grilling because we already had our salad and dressing done. So here is the chicken for tomorrow's dinner and the beef for tonight's dinner. I tasted it. It's delicious. Normally I would have added an egg and breadcrumbs to my beef mixture. I didn't on this day because I didn't want to waste my eggs as a binder. I want to use my eggs if I want to make fried eggs for the breakfast or if I want to use eggs for baked goods throughout the week. So I left the egg out. So I'm going to add my veggie mixture to my couscous. I did put the couscous in the refrigerator to cool while we were grilling and I was cleaning the kitchen because I did want this to be a cold salad. So I'm going to mix in my veggies, and I did think it needed a little bit more of the dressing that we made. So I'm going to add that. I'm going to mix all this together, and then the way I'm going to serve this dinner is I'm going to put the couscous salad on the bottom of a bowl. Then I'm going to top it with one of our beef patties, and I'm going to drizzle on some yogurt, and I am going to put some pickled onions on it and some hot sauce. I put hot sauce on mine, and this is Josh's dinner. Good morning. I was not planning on doing this today, but I just realized that I only have a little bit of yogurt left. I have about this much. Yogurt is something we enjoy for breakfast with granola or fruit or whatever it might be. And because I am not going to the grocery store, I'm gonna go ahead and make some. One thing I did allow myself is my milk pickup every week. So I just placed my milk pickup or drop off. They drop it off every Friday. And so I'm gonna go ahead and get a half gallon of yogurt made. So I'm just gonna make this in my Instant Pot. I have a ton of things I need to get done today in the kitchen, not cooking. We're gonna be doing some deep cleaning and organizing today. And so I'm gonna be able to keep a close eye on this. So I'm gonna set this on the yogurt mode. And what this is gonna do, I always use my lid for my Dutch oven for this. I'm gonna set this on top. It's gonna come up to 160 degrees, and then we're gonna cool it to about 105. Then we're gonna add some yogurt. This yogurt has, if you're gonna make your own at home, all you need to look for is that it says live active cultures, and then it lists the bacteria that are the live active cultures. You don't need to buy anything special to make homemade yogurt, just milk and starter. Now, this is gonna take a little bit, so while this is working, I'm gonna be working. If you're wondering if making yogurt pasteurizes milk, it does. So I am allowing on the Pantry Challenge my weekly delivery of raw organic milk. And when you're making yogurt, the reason you heat it up to 160 degrees is not because you're necessarily wanting to pasteurize it, it's because it breaks the proteins, it denatures them. And that's how you're going to get a thicker yogurt than if you keep it raw. You can culture raw milk and make yogurt out of raw milk, but it's not gonna be very thick. It's gonna be pretty runny. And because we're gonna be inoculating it with probiotic bacteria from our yogurt, I am not worried about technically pasteurizing this milk. You're gonna get a better texture and a better yogurt if you do this. So dinner, I've prepped most of it. It's gonna be easy. So I am gonna be focusing on getting my kitchen clean and organized so we can go into this growing season with a clean and organized kitchen. Our milk is now at 110. So this is the perfect temperature to add our culture. And my whisk is dirty, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use that. This is not an exact science. I'm gonna put that's probably about a 1/4 cup of yogurt culture in here. And I'm just gonna put that big spoonful in here. I'm gonna mix it up. And then I have a jar here, and we're gonna ferment this in this jar. Let's see if I can do this without making a mess. My canning funnel is in the dishwasher. I'm gonna put my leak-proof lid on here, and there's a bunch of ways you could ferment this. I could turn my oven on to 200, let it preheat, turn it off, and then turn the oven light on, stick this in there overnight, let it ferment in there overnight. I could have fermented it in my Instant Pot, but I wanted to go ahead and ferment it in the jar that I'm gonna keep it in. So I'm gonna go stick this in my dehydrator because I have a square dehydrator that I can set the timer. I'm gonna set it for about 1:05. I'm gonna let this go for probably 12 hours. You can let your yogurt go anywhere from 8 to 24 hours. The longer it ferments, the more sour it's gonna become, because the bacteria cultures are gonna eat the lactose or the sugars, and they're gonna turn that into acid. And so the longer you let the bacteria eat the sugar, the more acid their byproduct, the more acidic your yogurt is gonna become. I don't want this super acidic. It is 3:34 right now, and so I'm just gonna put this in there now and let it go until tomorrow morning, and then I'll stick it in the fridge. I would have probably made the yogurt in the oven, except I wanna use this oven right now to make dinner. So I'm gonna get dinner going. I'm still in the middle of organizing. I'm almost done, but I do want to get started on dinner. So I'm gonna preheat the oven to 425. Maybe 420. All right, let's get dinner going. I am so grateful I prepped a ton of this yesterday because I had a very busy day in the kitchen. So our potatoes are sliced. I drained them. I let them sit on this towel for a few minutes. I think I'm gonna take this towel that's clean and pat them dry, because I spent a good half the day in the kitchen, not cooking, just cleaning. And so I'm glad that I was able to have a lot of dinner already done. So here, that was just a little bit of oil from that jar. I wanted to use that so that I could recycle that jar. Then I have some garlic infused oil here. And I think what I'm gonna use instead of what I just grabbed, I think I'm just gonna use some taco seasoning. I'm gonna sprinkle a good amount of that on here. We're gonna toss this together. And then we're gonna put this in our oven at 420 degrees until they're crispy and golden. And while these are cooking, I'm gonna make a corn side to top this with. And I need to shred the cheese, because that's another thing. I don't have any shredded cheese right now. But I don't have to cook any chicken or anything like that. So the hard work of this dinner is done. I'm gonna get going on the corn salsa. I've got green onions here. The reason I bought these green onions is because I want to grow, well, that's not gonna grow because it doesn't have roots on it anymore. I wanna grow onions from these green onions. So I have taken these and planted them in the ground, and they will continue to grow green onions, but we're just gonna grow these inside. I just have a little jar with a little bit of water. Put that by my windowsill, put those roots in there, and we'll see how those do. They'll grow for us. Now I'm gonna go ahead and just prep the rest of these onions. All this cilantro.
This is technically a dip for like an appetizer. It's corn dip, and it is so delicious that Josh and I really like it on tacos, burritos, burrito bowls, nachos. And so that's what I'm making here. I've got a lot of corn that we put up this summer, and so we can make this, and it's so good. So what we have here is green onions, cilantro, sharp cheddar cheese, equal parts sour cream and mayonnaise, garlic powder, salt, and pepper. And then I'm gonna put a jar of my home canned chilies, and then 4 cups of corn that is frozen. This corn is so delicious. It's the corn we put up over the summer, and we love it. It's one of the favorite things I put up. I'm gonna just take some scissors and chop up my chilies. I'm gonna get that in the bowl and mix all that together, and that is our corn salsa. It's a creamy corn salsa that is so phenomenal. Oh, and there was a jalapeno in there as well. So our potatoes were half cooked. I kind of stirred them up a little bit. I put them back into the oven until they got pretty crispy. And then when they have about 10 minutes or so left, I'm gonna put the chicken that we grilled up yesterday on them. I did dice the chicken before I put it in the refrigerator yesterday, so that was one less thing I had to do. And then I'm gonna top it with cheese, pop this back in the oven for about 10 minutes. And this is gonna be our potato nacho base.
This probably has another 10 minutes or so. It's just gonna get nice and golden brown and crispy, and then it is gonna be done. And I'm gonna serve this with the corn we just made. Definitely I'll put some hot sauce on mine and maybe a dollop of sour cream, just depends, but we got our pickled onions too. I'll show you what this looks like pulled together. Now between what we did yesterday and this, today is the second. Tomorrow I'm probably not gonna cook at all. So the way that my life works is I cook enough so that there's multiple days throughout the week and weekend where I don't have to spend any time in the kitchen. I've got a lot of computer work I need to catch up on tomorrow. I spent all day in the kitchen, not all day cooking, all day organizing and cleaning. And so tomorrow I don't really have time to spend time in the kitchen. So because of my previous self's efforts and tonight's efforts, I am not gonna need to do any cooking tomorrow. I actually say all that, but I think on Thursday, I want to make pizza, and I want to make it using my focaccia recipe. I want to try that out. I've never had focaccia pizza before, and it just sounds so delicious. And I have some bolognese sauce that needs to be used up for the red sauce. So I'm not going to be doing any major cooking, but that bread recipe needs to sit in the refrigerator for 24 hours or overnight to 24 hours. So tomorrow night, I'm going to whip up a batch of that dough, and that way I can have that for Thursday.
It's Wednesday evening and I've had to do no cooking yet on this day at all, but I did want to try making the focaccia pizza, and so I take this evening to whip up the dough. I get my salt, flour, water, oil into this. I do my 4 stretches and folds, and then I realize at 10:50 I am in bed. I have the dough in the refrigerator at this time. I hop out of bed, I pull the dough out of the refrigerator, and I forgot to add the yeast. And so I go ahead and add the correct amount of yeast, and I mix this together. I was really disappointed at this point because I've always wanted to try making a focaccia pizza, and I am not sure now if it's going to turn out. And so I just mixed in the yeast as best I could. I left it on the counter, and then I asked Josh, when you go to bed, would you be willing to pop this in the refrigerator for me? Which he does, and we are going to see if we can salvage this focaccia pizza dough.
Hello friend, welcome back to my kitchen. It is January 4th, so the 4th day of the Pantry Challenge. Yesterday was January 3rd, and I did absolutely no cooking except for what you saw for this pizza dough. I think, or focaccia dough, I should say. I think it's gonna be okay. It's looking pretty good. The biggest thing is if I got the yeast all the way mixed in and the yeast is all the way hydrated. We've got some bubblies in here. You can see bubbles. So I'm assuming that means that the yeast is working. So we're just gonna go with it. It is now 11:37. I went grocery shopping in the pantry and in my freezers for tonight's dinner and tomorrow's dinner. And we're gonna prep this pizza dough now. We're gonna actually prep some dessert. And then I'm gonna go into the pantry, not the pantry. See, there are a couple pieces of yeast pockets where the yeast, what I should have done is hydrate the yeast in a little bit of water and added maybe a half a cup or a quarter cup more flour after I hydrated the yeast instead of just sprinkling the yeast in here dry. But it was, I don't know, what time was it, 11:30 last night when I did that? And I didn't fully think through that until after I got back in bed and I was like, oh shoot, that's what I should have done. But this is where we're at now, so it's gonna be okay. So I'm gonna take our focaccia / pizza dough and get this into an oiled baking pan. And this is gonna sit for 3 to 4 hours while I work on getting the seed room organized. And we're gonna get some dessert going. So I got Josh and I a little bit of a Christmas present. My mother-in-law has one. She got one for herself on Black Friday. So on Thanksgiving, we all tried it out. And then my sister-in-law bought one, and she says she's been using it almost every day. So I bought myself basically a late Christmas present for Josh and I because we didn't get each other gifts this year. And what is that gift? I bought us a Ninja Creami. So I'm kind of burnt out from baking and baked goods because we did so much during the Christmas and holiday season. And I've got a lot of things that I could use in my pantry and freezer for ice cream over this pantry challenge. So I decided to go ahead and invest in one. I ordered 4 more of the containers. So my mother-in-law said, and my sister-in-law also, the Ninja Creami comes with 2, and you're gonna want more because you need it to be completely frozen before you can use it. So you kind of want to have a stock of frozen goodies so that when you want a Ninja Creami, you can just pull one out and put it in the oven. So first, I'm gonna set this aside. That will be for dinner tonight. Let's go ahead and make dessert. Get this freezing. We're probably not gonna be able to make this until tomorrow. So I went shopping in my pantry for goodies for dessert and for tomorrow's dinner. So I got strawberries from the farmer's market, a can of peaches, a can of coconut milk, and then I shopped. Tomorrow we're gonna have burgers and potato salad. So I went down to the pantry, I grabbed a bunch of potatoes, red onions, pickles from the refrigerator out here, caramelized onions. I have Swiss cheese that I really need to use up. So we're gonna have burgers on the grill tomorrow with potato salad. And this cheese is for tonight. That's a little bit of mozzarella. So let's make some ice cream for the Ninja Creami. I'm gonna show you how incredibly easy this is. What I really wanna make is bananas, peanut butter, and cocoa powder, but I only have 2 bananas. And so we're gonna make this one first, which is literally a jar of home canned peaches. And you could just freeze it just like this. To make it kind of peaches and cream, I'm gonna add just a little bit of cream from the raw milk that I purchased from a local farmer. These peaches have a little bit of sugar in them, but it's a very, very light syrup. And that is gonna be our first ice cream. I'm gonna put the lid on it and freeze this. The second ice cream is gonna be just strawberries. Start with that. There is a max fill line, so I filled that just to the max fill line. And coconut milk, full fat coconut milk. If I had coconut cream, I would use that, but this is what I have. This is gonna be a dairy-free version. The cream is on the top. There is gonna be liquid. From what I understand, you don't want big air pockets. So I'm gonna put that in there. I'm gonna try to push this cream around those strawberries, just so we're not getting big air pockets. Okay, that's right at the fill line. Put the lid on. These are the 2 ice creams we're gonna start with. In the mail, I think in next week sometime, I'm gonna get 4 more of these so we can experiment a ton. There is a whole book with tons and tons of recipes, but I think you can really just kind of make up and do whatever you want. My sister-in-law's favorite, she says she has this all the time. She opens up a can of pineapple in juice. She pours that in one of these, and that is her ice cream at night, and she says it is so fantastic. So I'm excited for the peaches and cream and the strawberry and coconut. Like I said, I really would like to do bananas and peanut butter, but I want to save those bananas for something else. But there are a ton of recipes that come with this. We will see how this turns out together. I can link it down in the description box if you are interested in it as well. But of course, you probably want to see how it's going to turn out, and I want to see how it's going to turn out. I know that what I've had at my mother-in-law's house on Thanksgiving and Christmas has been delicious. So I'm kind of excited to experiment with my own flavors, and we are going to see together if that pizza dough turns out. So now I'm going to go run out in the the grow room, organize it, seed, do an inventory of my seeds, and I'm gonna finish placing all my seed orders today. So I'll see you back when we make dinner. Friend, I'm about to make dinner and prep tomorrow's dinner. Huge project just finished, just washed up some celery, and you know, I don't know if I fully trust how this is gonna bake up just because you saw what happened, forgetting to put the yeast in. It looks okay, it's super bubbly, but just in case it's not, I'm gonna make up a half batch of just pizza dough, and we're gonna have focaccia pizza and a regular pizza, and what that's gonna do is give us a few more leftovers. I was thinking tomorrow's Friday, and we're gonna have burgers tomorrow, and I don't wanna do a ton of cooking over the weekend, and so if I can make 2 pizzas, that's gonna give us obviously dinner tonight and then lunches, and then I can make a little extra. I'll make 4 burgers tomorrow, so we'll have extra going into the weekend. And then of course I'll show you if I end up having to cook over the weekend, but we'll see if we can prep enough today and tomorrow. I'm not measuring this recipe, I am just guesstimating because it's been a long day in the kitchen, and I do have my yeast in there. So I have yeast, water, honey instead of sugar, salt. I let my yeast get nice and bubbly in the water for a couple minutes. I'm gonna add about 2 tablespoons of oil. I'm gonna get this in the KitchenAid. I don't like to have to cook every day, and so this is how I try to think of if I can make a little bit extra, then we can use it as lunches and then I don't have to cook or dinner. So we're gonna let that knead for probably about 5-ish minutes. You can see it is nice and bubbly, so obviously the yeast is working, but because I've never made focaccia pizza before, and this was, you know, a little bit of a question mark, and I have enough pizza sauce for 2 pizzas, I figured I better go ahead and whip up some more. So now let's go ahead and prep our potato salad for tomorrow, plus for lunches. I just added a little more flour because it looked like it needed it, no pun intended. While my dough is kneading, I'm gonna sharpen my knife, or hone my knife. I'm gonna chop the celery for the potato salad. I bought this for the bolognese, for the lasagna for New Year's. I'm gonna slice onions for the pizza. I'm gonna peel my potatoes. A lot of times, oh yeah, that looks a lot better. I'm gonna turn this off for just a second. A lot of times in the summer when I'm making potato salad, if I'm using young, new potatoes, I won't peel them. But these, they're just a little bit soft. They're starting to grow some eyes. They're perfectly good potatoes to eat. I do not want to let them go to waste, but I don't want to eat the skin. So I'm gonna take a minute, peel them, get them washed, and we'll get these boiling. I like that consistency a lot better. So we're gonna let that knead, and then we'll let it rise.
The reason I decided to prep the potato salad for tomorrow's night's dinner is because I knew that I was going to be whipping up the pizza dough, and that was going to take time to rise, and so I might as well be doing something while that dough is rising, and so I figured making the potato salad would be perfect. So we're going to first peel the potatoes, and then I'm going to wash them really well. I have celery here that we're going to wash, and then once I've got the potatoes washed, I'll cut them into smaller pieces, put them in a pot, cover them with salted water, and we're going to boil those until tender. This is definitely going to be the pantry challenge where we focus a lot on potatoes, because those are something that definitely could go bad if I don't use them. And I really do like potatoes. I just, for some reason, don't think always about potatoes. And so this is exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing, is it's encouraging me to use up those things so they don't go bad. And I've so enjoyed the potato nachos. Those were fantastic, absolutely delicious if you've never tried them. A great way to use potatoes in a new way. And I love potato salad, and this potato salad we whip up is probably one of the best potato salads I've ever made. And so what I'm going to do here for the potato salad is slice up some onions. And I did grab a bunch of onions from downstairs because I'm noticing that some of the onions that I grew and cured, they're not lasting as long as the onions I purchased from the local farmer. And so I went through my onions when I was down there, and I grabbed any one that looked soft, and I figured when I'm already slicing onions, I'm going to go ahead and use the rest of the brine. You can see I used almost all the pickled onions. The pickled onions that are sitting on my cutting board, I'm actually going to put in the potato salad. And I'm going to take these onions that were looking soft, and I'm just going to use that same brine, put the onions in there, and get those back in the fridge, and those will be used up. I chopped up those pickled onions. I tossed those into the potato salad along with the celery, and we're going to use another homegrown thing to make this potato salad, and it is the best potato salad I have ever had. I love it. Normally I make the dill potato salad that is Ina Garten's recipe, but I think this one was even better. I did some fresh onions, I did the pickled onions, I did equal parts mayonnaise to sour cream, chopped up celery, and this right here, my friend, I think is the key. This is the zucchini pickled relish. I started with half of it, and then I went ahead and added that whole 4-ounce jar. That has zucchini, vinegar, sugar, onions, and it made this potato salad so good. It was the perfect amount of sweetness. I also added salt and pepper, and then you can see I'm adding the rest of this because I was tasting the dressing. I mixed this together, and then I wanted a little bit of a mustard flavor, and so I added probably about a tablespoon, maybe 2 tablespoons of a grainy mustard, mixed that together, and this was so good. So good. I always think of potato salad as a summer thing, but I've got potatoes that need to be used up. I love potato salad even more than a roasted potato or even mashed potatoes. And so even though it is January, you can eat potato salad in January. And so it's just kind of getting out of what I normally do. And that's what's encouraging me. This pantry challenge is make things that I really like, and I really like potato salad. So I'm going to pop that in the fridge, and that's going to be for tomorrow's dinner. So now my pizza dough that I whipped up is done. I'm going to get this onto a baking sheet with some parchment paper and some olive oil. I'm going to kind of use my fingers to spread it out, and then we're going to add our sauce. Now, I had originally at the beginning of the week thawed out some pizza sauce, but this is the bolognese that's left over, and I actually need to use this up. It wasn't quite enough sauce to make a whole dinner, and so I figured I could just use this bolognese sauce as a pizza sauce. It has a little bit of meat in it. It has carrots and celery, all the good tomato flavors, and so it wasn't going to hurt my pizza by using this instead of pizza sauce. So I went ahead and I actually popped that pizza sauce back in the freezer that I had thawed out earlier. And then when we had our party, I had bought these for the party and I never pulled these salamis out. So I'm going to go ahead and make one pizza that's salami and onions, and then the other one, I had a little bit of leftover pre-cooked sausage in my freezer. I had pulled that out actually in the morning, let that thaw in the refrigerator, and then our focaccia pizza is going to be a sausage and onion pizza. And then I had originally thawed these caramelized onions out for the pizza, not for the pizza, for the burgers. And I love caramelized onions on pizza. And so I went ahead and I used those for tonight's dinner, and then I end up pulling out caramelized onions for tomorrow's dinner. So I don't end up having to do any cooking over the weekend between what I have already prepped and things I already have in my freezer, like taquitos and breakfast freezer meals and things. You're going to see what I cook tomorrow, and that is all the cooking I do for the entire week. So I actually have the entire weekend off from cooking, and we still eat incredibly well. I'm going to pop those in the oven, and I'm going to cook that for about 40. It took the focaccia about 45 minutes. It took the regular pizza about 20 minutes. This turned out delicious. I definitely need to work on it. It wasn't perfect. It stuck to the bottom of the pan, but we enjoyed it. We ate it, and I do need to tweak the recipe a little bit, but it was fun experimenting with this focaccia pizza. And the regular pizza turned out delicious. We so enjoyed it. Happy Friday. We are going to turn the grill on and get cooking this dinner. It's only going to take a few minutes because we prepped the whole potato salad yesterday. I'm going to get the grill on so this can warm up, and then we're going to go spin our Ninja Creami. I need to make sure this is on all the way. So last time I used the grill, when I take the meat off the grill, I just turn it off right away so that I don't forget to turn it off later and I don't run out of propane. So I need to turn this on so I can scrub it. So while this is heating up, let's go inside and spin the Ninja Creami. This morning I was reading the manual and I think I understand how to do it. I have done this once at my mother-in-law's house. No, I've done it twice at my mother-in-law's house, so I at least have some understanding, but she was kind of there walking, through the process. So I set up the Creami here in the walk-in pantry because I feel like I'm going to use this a lot. So we have our peaches and cream. There's this little container that you put the pint in. We're going to take the lid off. Frozen solid like an ice cube. You're just going to stick that right in there. And then this is the blade. And this is what took me a minute. There's a little thing here that opens this little gasket. So you're going to pull that to the side and then stick the blade in there. So now we've got the blade. We're going to put the lid on. I did a couple dry runs this morning without the ice cream in it.
and you're going to turn it. That's gonna lock it in place. And now we gotta turn it on. And we're gonna push the ice cream button. So I'm gonna blend both of them, and a lot of times you need to blend it twice before it's smooth. I have to remember how to, oh, there's a button over here. So we're gonna check it and see if we need to blend it a second time. Yeah, it's kind of dry, kind of powdery. So we're gonna blend it one more time, and that's gonna give us the ice cream consistency. Because this was an icy mixture, not a super creamy mixture, even though there's a little bit of milk in it. Lock that one more time, and we're gonna hit the respin button. So there's a couple different things on here, and as I'm looking at this, I just pushed the ice cream button. I probably, because I have just, you saw one waiting here, peaches and milk, I probably should have clicked the sorbet button or even the light ice cream, but we're gonna open this up and see what this looks like. And then here we have our strawberries and coconut. The moment of truth. Okay, let's see.
We quickly went through this. It was delicious, and I've made this recipe one more time since then over the weekend on Sunday, and it does do a lot better if you push the light ice cream button with this combination of peaches and milk.
Wow. Okay. I got a new spoon. That is so good. That's crazy. This is just peaches and a little bit of raw milk. So technically the milk is still raw because we didn't cook it. And I was reading a bunch of different things. You can put like protein powder in this. Once you put that in your mouth, it is the perfect creamy consistency. It's not icy at all. So let's try mixing the strawberry one. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to mix it twice. I do not regret this purchase one bit. I can see we're going to use this a lot, especially in the summer. Let's see. Put it on. I'm going to run this twice. Something to note is that it is a little bit on the loud side, but it only takes a minute to do one run, so probably 2 minutes to do 2 runs. Uh-oh. Oh, look at that. That's like the perfect sorbet consistency. So Josh is here, and I've told him I want his honest review. Josh, this is peaches and milk. That's it. This is strawberries and full-fat coconut milk.
Okay. So I'm not a big coconut milk guy, but...
So do you want to start with the one you think you'll like more? Or
I'm going to start with the coconut milk,
okay,
so I can
purge
its flavor from my mouth.
And talk about the consistency and texture too.
Well, this seems very crumbly.
Yeah, this one is a little bit drier.
It's cold? Or
it probably could have been spun one more time. So review from Josh, little icy. He doesn't love the coconut flavor.
Yeah, but the strawberry...
Yeah, do you like the strawberry?
Good. Yeah, it definitely tastes like fresh fruit.
I think it's delicious. I would totally eat this over ice cream. I want to respin this because I want to see if I can get this creamier. When you spin it, you're supposed to spin it when it is even on the top. So if you put this in the freezer after, say, you scoop a few scoops out, or you're eating it from the container, before you refreeze it, you are supposed to make it level on the top so that when you respin it, it doesn't hurt the machine. So I'm just gonna flatten this out just a little bit, and I'm gonna respin this one more time. Since I'm gonna put this, oh my gosh, look at it after it sat for a few minutes. The consistency of this is just velvety, and I love it. I love it. But I'm gonna pop this in the freezer. So I'm gonna make this level so that we can spin this after dinner. So I'm gonna go ahead and eat that and spin this.
I think because these are less high in fat, like as if I was to do a true ice cream, it just takes a little bit more for it to mix together and get that really smooth consistency. Let's see what a third spin does to it though. Oh yeah, that's all it needed. So this one, whatever the ingredients on this was, needed just an extra, oh yeah, see how silky that is? I'm gonna give this a try now. Not quite such a big bite. Okay. That's all it needed. These need to go back into the freezer before I eat any more of it because it is so good. Now, I'm really glad I ordered 4 more of these containers so that I can have different flavors going on in the freezer. So I've scrubbed the grill, and now we're gonna get our patties onto the grill. I was only gonna cook 4 of these, but I think I'm gonna cook all 6 because they definitely need to be used up. And so we're just gonna do extra meal prep for this coming weekend. So I'm gonna season my burgers with salt and pepper. Got my caramelized onions here. We didn't even have to messy up the kitchen today for tonight's dinner because we're cooking outside on the grill. The onions were already caramelized. I already had pre-shredded cheese. I would normally do sliced cheese for burgers, but this is what I have and this is what needs to be used. So this is what we're using. Let the cheese melt. So here is tonight's dinner. We have our potato salad, pickles from the garden, and our burger patties with caramelized onions and Swiss cheese. I don't think I'm gonna do any cooking this weekend. It's gonna be super chill. I'm gonna serve up our ice cream for dessert tonight. And it's just been a fantastic first week of the Pantry Challenge. I know that it has not really been a challenge yet because I had some fresh produce in my freezer, but we used up quite a few of the things I've wanted to use up. I wanted to use up these burger patties. We've used a ton of potatoes from the garden. And I know that if I wasn't doing this challenge, instead of grabbing potatoes for nachos, I may have just grabbed chips, or I would have done like burrito bowls with rice and beans. And so it just really is encouraging me and reminding me to use up the things that I already have in my pantry. We used up the couscous, which that half bag of couscous has been in my pantry for a while, and it just feels good to start checking some of these things off the list. I sat down today. Today was a really chill day. I basically was doing a bunch of computer work this morning, and I did take some time to make some notes on what I want to make next week to use up some of the items that we had set aside that I want to use up. And I've got some fun, creative, delicious things. That's the thing, even during a pantry challenge, flavor does not go by the wayside. We don't suffer. It's just pushing myself to use things that I want to use up. So friend, thank you for being here. If I don't see you again until we are in the kitchen with Pantry Challenge Week 2, I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to spend time with me in the kitchen. It's been a wonderful week. I have been so excited about getting ready for next year's garden. I've officially ordered all my seeds for next year's garden, and so it's just a really fun time of year.
I'm so looking forward to it. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being along the journey. If you want to watch a couple of my other videos, I'll pop those here. You can go enjoy between now and my next upload. I hope you are having a fantastic day, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye, friend.